Hey y'all, it's Helen Castillo here with moodfabrics.com, and today we're going to be working on applying an invisible zipper to a woven fabric. So here I've got an invisible zipper, and the beauty of invisible zippers is that regardless of how long they are, you can readjust the length, which means you can clip and just do a top stitch back and forth a bit to create a new stopper if you're doing a shorter distance of two pieces of fabric that you want to join with the invisible zipper. When applying an invisible zipper to a woven fabric, there's a few steps that we have to do to prepare the zipper before applying it to the fabric. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to take my invisible zipper and I'm going to iron it open. So from the wrong side with the coils facing up, I'm going to take my iron and be sure that you don't melt the coils. We really just want to use the tip of the iron here to kind of turn those coils to be flat, to be more flush with the zipper tape, which is this part of the zipper. So you've got the zipper tape, which is usually that twill ribbon part, and the teeth, which are what the actual pull runs up and down along. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push these coils. I'm kind of rolling them over with my fingers. So now that we have our zipper pressed open, I'm going to mark my seam allowance onto the right side of my fabric. So we're going to use 5/8 of an inch seam allowance for this. I'm just going to take my ruler and chalk and I'm going to mark 5/8 of an inch . If you prefer not to use the chalk marking method, you can do what's called thread tracing, which is when you take a needle and thread with contrasting thread. Here I've got like this baby blue color, and you'll just mark in your seam allowance there. And what we're going to do is, before I actually put the zipper down onto the fabric, I'm going to zip it shut, make sure that there's no issue with my coils after I've pressed it. And the tricky part is that although the zipper will be facing straight up, when I place it onto my fabric, I still want it to be facing straight up so that when I unzip it, I can flip either side to be face down onto the fabric. And be sure that your teeth are aligning with your mark for your seam allowance. All right, so I've got my zipper foot here. Typically they have this style and they come with your machine. Be sure to check with your sewing machine manual to be sure that you have the correct zipper foot attachment and you're using the correct style of stitching with this foot. On my machine, I'm going to be using a straight stitch, and then I'll be using either side of this foot depending on what side of the zipper I'm attaching. I'm going to be using a contrasting color thread so that you can see the difference and the location of where that should be placed on your garment. So I'm going to start by attaching the right side of my garment, and I'm just going to place my invisible zipper so that the coil itself gets caught in this little ridge underneath my foot. And naturally, you want the machine to kind of roll your zipper as you're attaching it. Be sure to do a back tack at the start. And what we want to accomplish is kind of like sewing in the ditch there from having ironed those coils open. And now for the opposite side of the zipper, I'm just going to change the side that I have this foot on. Make sure your top thread and your bobbin thread are toward the back of the machine. And then repeat for the other side. All right, so now that we've got both sides of our invisible zipper sewn to either of our faux center back seam. We can zip up that zip. And you've got your invisible zipper. So you